the night, stay with the Weather Channel.
We have breaking news tonight on the Weather Channel. We are tracking Hurricane Alex. It is a Category 1 hurricane now, diminishing in strength, but still punishing northern Mexico and South Texas with wind, waves, and flooding rain. Well, thanks for joining us here on the Weather Channel and sticking with us here on Weather Center. And we, of course, are your hurricane authority. I'm Nicole Mitchell.
And I'm Kim Cunningham. Again, we hope you're having a good evening and hope it's not too bad out there for you if you're just tuning in. We want to bring you in on the very latest on Hurricane Alex. Made landfall about 9 o'clock Central Time, about 10 o'clock Eastern. It estimated winds of about 105 miles an hour, which makes it, or made it, a Category 2 at Category 2 hurricane.
And we've had some sporadic power outages with this system, and at least a half a foot of rain in places like Brownsville, but no reports of injuries or major damage in Texas. However, just in the last hour, we've learned that at least possibly as high as 13 deaths have occurred in parts of Mexico. So let's get you to the latest on that system out there. Of course, as it has diminished, winds to 85 miles per hour. It is now a Category 1 storm. And so as it moves on, you can see it's starting to become slightly less organized. I mean, it still definitely has a presentation of an eye right along with it. But this has been a broad storm. At the height of it, we had winds, tropical storm force winds, 355 miles across. That's pretty significant because the larger those winds extend out from the center, or the farther out, that means the larger the damage area is going to be. And I mentioned the loss of life. One report from someone that was doing construction and the winds actually collapsed the building. A couple of reports of teenagers in a car and flooding. This was all in Mexico. And another family where 3 people lost their lives as a wall came in on them. So there's certainly been some tragedy already with this system. We'll probably see more of that reported as we get through the rest of our Thursday. But this made landfall 9 o'clock Central Time Wednesday night as Category 2. Winds at the time were up to 105 miles per hour. And we've also seen some reports. Now, while we haven't had any serious injuries in parts of Texas, fortunately, that hasn't been reported yet, we have had a couple of reports of tornadoes. So you can see the red area highlighted here. This goes until 4 a.m., the possibility for tornadoes, tornado watch box, even though we don't have any of those warnings ongoing. And you can see where we had the heavier band of rain. Now we're starting to get at least a few more breaks in that. That's helping some, but a lot of the ground is already saturated. So we've already had a lot of those flooding concerns tonight. As this continues to move interior and loses that intensity even more, we are going to watch for it to head into terrain areas, and that could too cause more of those flooding concerns as you get the moisture heading up the mountain. It tends to wring it out even a little bit more, and so that's going to be our biggest concern now that this has made landfall. Not as much the wind damage, but the flood damage that we could potentially see. Also, with the flow around this system, it's spreading well northward, keeping some of those winds out of the west, and that's going to mean a lot of the Gulf Coast has a potential for showers and storms because that'll feed moisture into a frontal boundary, and fire off more of that activity. But just looking at the Texas area, anywhere such as Galveston, 84 degrees and the wind, Brownsville, 89 in the wind. This is all for Thursday, and Corpus Christi, watch for that to continue, more of those same conditions as we get into Friday. Kim?
We've had a team of meteorologists covering Texas all day, and our Jim Cantori spent the day in South Padre Island and filed this report.
Good evening, everybody, for South Padre Island, Texas, here where we have fared very, very well. We got a chance to talk to the Public Information Officer, Dan Kwan. He came by just a little while ago, and he shared with us the fact that, Jim, we've had very little problem here as far as power outages. They've been sporadic. Roads at times, especially when the heavy rain has moved through, has been certainly seeing their share of flooding at some point during the day today. They actually had to shut off some of the roads and stop people from going through some of the water, which got over a foot in some spots. But that was when it was raining 2 to 4 inches an hour. There's no question we could see more of that come through tonight. We could still see winds gust to 60 miles an hour, maybe even stronger, but all the hurricane warnings for the Texas coast are now tropical storm warnings. speaking of tropical storm, we've had tropical storm force winds sustained for the last several hours here on South Padre Island, and that's why at 1:30 this afternoon they closed the causeway, and there's no plan at this point in the near future to reopen that. That certainly will not occur tonight, and we may not see it occur during the morning hours of tomorrow. This storm has moved inland. It has not collapsed at all. It's still holding together very, very well, so that means the wind energy, the banding features with it, and certainly the gusts and the squalls will continue here in South Padre Island tonight. Reporting on what has been a very wet day, a windy day, but one that could have been a whole lot worse, especially if you compare it with Dolly back in 2008. I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori in South Padre Island.
We have a live report from a storm chaser and new video. It's next.
And one of the concerns with Hurricane Alex has been the flooding.